Hi, this is Travis Walker with Lofts of Travis R. Walker here with the Walker Way podcast. We're here in Stuart, Florida, talking about important issues in front of us, in front of the nation, actually. Today we're here talking about PFAS, which is a water contamination case. I have the great privilege and honor of having Jim and Sara here on the podcast with us, two amazing legal minds. They're great paralegals here in the office, and we're so grateful that you're part of the team and what you bring to it. Jim has an extensive length of legal experience, particularly with litigation, and so does Sara, but she's also a scientist, a mini scientist in a lot of different ways. So it's a great team effort. We're here tackling an important issue, particularly here in the city of Stuart, because the city of Stuart has been affected and was at the spearhead of the litigation with regards to PFAS and water treatment plants. So we're going to talk a little about PFAS, what it means. It's got a long history. There's been some movies and documentaries even about PFAS and forever chemicals. Dark Waters is one that comes to mind with Mark Ruffalo. So any of you that are watching or listening, definitely take a look at that. But wanted to introduce you guys and say hello, and let's get the ball rolling. What's PFAS? I mean, it's crazy, an acronym, or what is it?
PFAS. It's also known as the forever chemical.
Okay.
PFAS or PFOS, PFAS, PFOS. It's typically used in a lot of surface chemical products. Anything, I guess the most commonly known is the aqueous foam that is used for the firefighting products. Anything surface agents.
Yeah, so PFAS, obviously surface chemicals. When I'm talking about Dark Waters, which is that documentary about DuPont and Teflon and those forever chemicals that are like patented. These are chemicals that are patented, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that so? Like, if someone has this chemical in their blood, it can be directly correlated to one company. Is that right?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But the history of it goes back to the 1940s when 3M came up with the chemical compounds. And they then developed it into the 50s when Teflon was like the first commercially notable usage of those compounds themselves.
Got it.
Scotchgard materials that sprayed on your furniture was also a PFAS. And basically the concept is that it will coat the surface of whatever it comes in contact with to prevent it from, in the firefighting, from receiving oxygen so that the fire can continue, so it smothers the fire. But it also smooths out the surfaces. But as part of that, it is a permanent forever chemical, which means that it doesn't biodegrade, which means that it will percolate through the soil into the water supplies, into our groundwater and our freshwater systems. And then when you drink that water, it'll come into your system and you'll become infected with the PFAS.
Sure.
They knew that it was dangerous in the 70s.
Wow.
They knew that DuPont and the other chemical companies knew that it could be passed into the fetus of a pregnant woman.
Wow.
30, 40 years ago.
Right.
But only around 2000 did 3M then decide they were going to phase out the manufacture of it.
Gosh.
But what they didn't do is pull all the product off the marketplace. They didn't replace it with anything that was safer, and so it continued to be used. And similar products were then manufactured that also had that same propensity to become dangerous to humans. The other factor is that once it gets into the water system, the fish will drink the water. Then we eat the fish. Or the animals will eat the fish,
sure.
And then we eat the animals.
Yeah.
Or the cows will drink the water, and we eat their meat. So it becomes cumulative in the human body.
Yes.
And our tissues will absorb it, and because it doesn't biodegrade, it remains. And so then the connection was then made to different types of cancers.
Gotcha.
And that's where it becomes actionable for our clients.
Correct. And I kind of liken it almost to tobacco. It's like, I've known people, like my grandfather, he lived till he was 72 years old or something like that. He smoked 50, 60 years, never got lung cancer. So just because you're exposed to the chemical doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the cancer. However, people may get exposed to the chemical and get cancer, kind of just like tobacco, right?
Right, and there's another analogy to tobacco that I like to bring up too, which is they knew years ago that it was dangerous. And instead of dealing with it properly, they hid the science, they covered up. They actually, with the foam fighters, they actually formed a trade union group to promote the
Wow.
usages of that, despite the fact that they knew that it was contaminating the water supplies. So just like tobacco, just like the oil companies, just like so many of the other pharmaceutical companies, where they know of the dangers early on, and instead of dealing with it properly, legally, and humanely,
Yes.
they decide they'll just ignore it and profits over people.
But it's just, I think to me, and this is why I love this practice area, is because, I mean, you really have to be a psychopath or a sociopath at some level to like know that you're creating this chemical, not bringing it to people's attention. You know, it's passing the placenta into fetuses. It's got to get past the blood-brain barrier. So, I mean, it gets into everything, right? But, you know, you knew about it for decades, but yet wanted to stay silent on it because you wanted profits over people, right? And that's ultimately, that's why there's a huge issue with regards to corporations. I mean, you know, we don't believe in frivolous lawsuits here at the law office of Travis R. Walker, but you know, when you really have somebody who's been damaged and they knew or should have known that this was going on, we have a responsibility to make sure that they're properly compensated, because, you know, it's a real thing. And, you know, possibly, you know, people, we know people here in the city of Stewart, we have clients who have PFAS in their blood, right? And they have these cancers, is that right?
Absolutely. In fact, the clients that we're working with here locally, they had no other indications of any type of cancer. But when they ran the test for PFAS,
Like light bulbs got
like
went off.
bulbs went.
Got it. I understand. No, it's a terrible situation. I mean, so what are some of the cancers or something that, you know, we're typically finding in these? I know it's like testicular cancer,
Kidney
cancer.
Yeah, kidney failure, issues with liver enzymes, issues with fertility, low
Ulcerative
birth
colitis.
weight,
Ulcerative
ulcerative
colitis.
colitis. There is a very wide range of issues, even high cholesterol. Increased cholesterol could be an indication.
Huh.
Just a small indicator of other things that could be going on.
Wow.
Even thyroid issues.
Sure.
So what you would think would be seemingly,
Innocuous.
yes, could be an indication of more severe problems to come in the future because of your exposure.
Sure. And it's kind of like talc. I liken it to talc and Johnson & Johnson. We have some clients who are involved in the talc litigation as well. Like Johnson & Johnson knew for a long time that the talc had asbestosis in it and it caused ovarian cancer. But we have some clients who have fallopian tube issues, or, you know, uterine cancers and those types of things that we knew they were related, but like the science wasn't quite there yet to prove that this was correlated, right? So I think what we're finding with the science is that it's developing still.
Oh,
right?
very much so. They're still developing science on people who were fetuses when their mothers were being exposed to these chemicals and what happened to them, and, you know, the issues that they're having from that could be potentially caused from PFAS exposures.
No, it's amazing, and it truly is a forever chemical because it stays in your blood. And so what we're doing with our clients, right, is we're having them do the blood tests, and then, you know, determining whether or not they have the PFAS in the blood or whatever other forever chemical is there, and then, you know, basically determining the likelihood of success on the case at that point, right?
Correct.
And then the science is still developing though. So like, you know, and is it parts per million, parts per billion? I mean, you know, there's measurements out there, right?
Well, right. So initially, they determined that the safe level was 10 parts per trillion.
10 parts per trillion.
And now they reduced that level down to 4 parts as being safe.
Yes.
None is safe.
None is safe.
But they're trying to come up with a level saying, okay, this is an acceptable level that
Shouldn't
we can't
cause any,
and we can't avoid it at this point either. So
yes. Well, I mean, and when you think about parts per trillion, and my understanding, having talked to people about this, is like parts per trillion is the equivalent of like a couple drops in a swimming pool or something crazy like that. You know, it's like it's such a minuscule amount, but that it's so potent and so powerful of a chemical that it can really wreak havoc on a person's body, right? So like, I mean, we're doing everything that we possibly can to make sure that they're in a good place, they're getting the compensation that they deserve. I mean, you know, what should some of our clients be looking for? Or if they think that they may have been affected, what would be the right steps to do?
So I would think that talk to their oncologist and make sure that they have have their blood tested for PFAS. You know, it's going to come down to eliminating other potential causes of the cancer. I mean, that's what they're going to argue on the other side, is that you have caught it from smoking or whatever other lifestyle things you have. But with these numbers that people are showing up, the numbers that are in their blood streams, they're just so high that it would boggle the mind that something else would have caused the cancer.
Yeah.
And so we have to prove by the preponderance of the evidence that that's the level that they have, and that's what caused their illnesses. And I think we can do that with the right medical
I agree.
background.
No, I mean, and I always liken it to, what's the next step? Preponderance of the evidence, obviously, there's different levels of judicial review, or like the standards and everything. Obviously, preponderance of the evidence is just basically 50% or so. And, just trying to prove that out to the best of our ability, right? So, so the oncologist, the blood test, I mean, if the doctor doesn't want to get the blood test done, we're actually, ordering the blood test for them.
Sarah, right?
Yep, we've been helping our clients get set up with blood test appointments and get their blood work set up, and it's a very easy, efficient process where you walk right in, you can be in and out within 10-15 minutes, and then we're emailed the updates on your test results, and we can go in and pull them for you.
And if the insurance doesn't cover it, we're covering it for the clients.
Yes, sir.
And, that's how much we believe in this litigation. We're putting our money where our mouth is. We really believe that these people have been damaged. This is a long-term play, and it's an important play. And that's, sometimes people get a little confused too, because they're like, oh, this is PFAS, this is a class action lawsuit. Am I going to get a $25 coupon in the mail? That's not what this is, right? There's a big difference between a class action and an MDL, which is what this is, right?
Correct. So, this started out as an MDL where all the different municipalities, including the city of Stewart, which was a bellwether case, sued these chemical companies, and that was a multi-district litigation that was centered in South Carolina.
Gotcha.
And when City of Stewart won that case, they won a settlement, but that money goes to the City of Stewart.
Right.
So the individual people who were affected are left out of that multi-district litigation.
Sure.
So at this point, the only thing that's happening is some people are filing individual cases.
Gotcha.
Now, it may lead to another multi-district litigation with the individuals.
Sure.
It would make sense that it would when thousands of cases get filed, but they're not there yet. And the difference, of course, between class action and the multi-district litigation or the mass tort type of case that we're having is that our clients will receive remuneration for their individual damages,
Right.
not just the entire class.
Gotcha.
A lot of times class action cases are designed to try to get a company or an entity to change their behavior in the future. And that might have been well and good, and that's what the MDL with the cities did. Now PFAS is off the market. But in terms of the individual damages for the individual clients, we've got a gentleman who's been diagnosed with only a few more months to live. We've got another gentleman that has been diagnosed with testicular cancer as a young man. These stories are horrible, and they're permanent, and they're individual.
They're individual.
And so we're going to represent them individually in these types of cases.
Correct. So that just like you included the older gentleman who has a few more months to live or something like that, his damages are much more significant, maybe or maybe not, to the person who has testicular cancer, or maybe not to the person who has ulcerative colitis. Everybody's damages are different, which is why it's a huge difference between this and a class action. And we always want to try and educate people because there's a lot of always confusion and mystery when it comes to the law and everything else. I think one of the great things about this litigation is that the city of Stewart, and I give the city a lot of credit for spearheading the litigation, they got a settlement, a huge settlement, but that money, like you indicated, is going to go fix the water treatment facility. It's not going to fix one of our clients' testicular cancer or one of our clients' ulcerative colitis. So but the reality is that through that litigation process, the science has been proven, right?
Correct.
Which should make for a faster, quicker settlement.
Well, right. So the analogy may be to the tobacco cases, where the bellwether case established the liability, and so then every other case that went after that, you had all of that already determined.
Yes.
Predetermined, that liability had already been determined. Now it's just a matter of damages.
Yes.
So eventually, if we'll get to that point in these types of cases too, I would imagine.
Sure. And so, I always talk with clients, it's like always about liability, coverage, and damages. So liability is proven. They've already done that in the water treatment cases. Damages is going to be individual based upon each person's ulcerative colitis, testicular cancer, but then coverage. We always talk about coverage, which is either the insurance or the ability to pay. And so, considering these are multi-billion-dollar multinational corporations, they're going to be doing whatever they can to pay these damages. If we have to, and everybody's always worried about chasing people to bankruptcy. However, bankruptcy is a reality sometimes, but through bankruptcy, people still get paid. You know, I know attorneys who, and we talk about MDL, it's called multi-district litigation, like you talked about. They actually chase these companies into bankruptcy, knowing that the court's going to force them to pay something. There's going to be a huge process by which it goes. Yes, will the damages be paid out? Probably as much as they would be had they not gone into bankruptcy? Sure. However, something's going to get paid out in the long run. I know that with the Boy Scout cases, like the Boy Scouts ended up going bankrupt because of the litigation and everything. However, these victims are still going to get paid. So, you know, one of those things that people need to not be worried about so much is that what are some of the legal options that, you know, that we have at our disposal for these people who've been affected?
But at this point, I think that the only legal option really is to bring a lawsuit like we're talking about, because there is no MDL for the individuals at this time, for them to join in with a short form complaint and just submit a few documents and get part of the overall group. So that's what we intend to do with our case. So when we get these cases filed, we'll go individually at that point. But I don't know of any other resources they have to recover against these defendants.
Do you anticipate us filing in state court or federal court, or what do you think we're going to do?
But I think we're going to be filing these cases in federal court.
Cool. All right. Yeah, no, and that way, you know, there's a fast track, and then if there is an MDL, it works its way through it. You know, being ground center for the city of Stuart and L litigation, you know, is there like a benefit to people working with our law firm, or, you know, really understanding what the best way to move forward is?
Well, I can tell you that definitely working with our law firm, you're working with people who grew roots here. And so we care about the community, and we care about what happened to people in our community, and we want to make sure that we're taken care of.
Yeah.
And, you know, and the least we can do is just help let these people settle their medical expenses and take care of what they need to take care of in their last months of life.
Yeah.
And make sure that their families are taken care of in the process. We really, really, truly care about each and every single one of our clients that we have here.
And you hit the nail on the head. One of the things we talk about a lot is aggressive, solid, and compassionate advocacy and representation here at the firm, and, you know, wanting to make sure you can do anything in this world for a buck. I mean, but the ability to like actually help people, people who are going through like the worst time of their lives. I mean, you got people who are going to be dying unfortunately soon because of these cancers, or testicular cancer. You have a young man who has testicular cancer. He may or may not have children. He probably won't be able to have children now, whether it's because of the cancer itself or because of the chemo and everything else involved. I mean, this is a huge impact on these people's lives, and you're absolutely right. The care that we can give to these people is just huge in what everything we possibly can do. You know, what are some of the other things with regards to PFAS that people should be aware of? I mean, there's nothing they can do to their water at this point, right? You can't filter it out? Or?
Right now, Stuart has the best water, as we were quoted as having before, but now we supposedly have the best water. We currently have a reverse osmosis system, and that is the only method that's been reviewed or approved for handling PFAS.
Gotcha.
And this is where investigatively our legal department is finding some issues with transparency and releasing some of the continued and ongoing reports of the testing that has been going on in our waterways. So our legal department still is doing investigative, you know, reporting into that and making sure that we get clear and transparent reporting here in Stuart, especially after what happened. There's no reason why we shouldn't have PFAS results on every single one of our quarterly reports.
No, I mean 100%. And you know, I know like a few years ago when I first heard about this, I took water samples from outside of the airport because I had this belief, and I believe it's absolutely 100% true, because of the level of contaminant in those pools, those retention ponds around the airport for the runoff from the airport, because like you indicated previously, it's a firefighting foam primarily, right?
Yes.
It's used as a retardant, I guess that would be the right
Correct.
word. And you know, my understanding is that not only did they use it for putting out airplane fires or jet fuel fires, which are obviously very difficult to put out, but also they would use it for training, or like if it expired, they would just, you know, kind of throw it out on the ground, you know, not knowing what they were doing.
There are disposal protocols, but does everybody follow them? That can't be promised.
Yes.
You know?
You're absolutely right. And that's why, like, even like we're in Martin County, but 2 counties north in Brevard County, where there's a lot of Air Force and space and everything else like that. they have a lot of problems up there too, and we're happy to help people up in that direction as well, because it's not, we're not just isolated to helping people here on the Treasure Coast. We can help people across the state of Florida.
Absolutely.
And everything else. But there is a real correlation we're seeing between your proximity to a firefighting place, or a jet, airplane, airfield, and then where it can go from there. So it's a real problem, right?
Yes, and just, I mean, the amount of impact that it's had on this community is why I think we are really focused on trying to help our fellow constituents and our neighbors, our peers.
Sure.
And yeah, absolutely. We want to help people all over the state of Florida, but definitely particularly here in Stewart as well.
Yeah, so I mean, if someone has any testicular cancer or any of those types of cancers, what should they do? Can they call the firm? What should they do?
Like Jim had talked about previously, speaking with your oncologist, getting a test scheduled for PFAS. If you're having any issues with your insurance or your doctor writing a order to have these blood panels done, you can very well give us a call, and we can see if we can facilitate that for you. We do have a screening process to see if you would meet our qualifications for taking the case. There are some other things, that could indicate that maybe it was a PFAS exposure. Then that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
We're not medical professionals here, and that's why we recommend that you speak to an oncologist and you speak to other medical professionals first before you start coming to us saying that you have PFAS. We want to help you, and we want to take you in and do as much as we can to help you with that. So we want to make sure that you hit all the qualifications
100%.
first.
100%. And so these are done on a contingency fee, right? So
Yes.
what does that mean?
So the client's not going to be responsible for attorney's fees under any circumstances. Any fees we are going to earn will become out of any recovery that we make for them.
Right.
And in these cases, we advance all of the costs, in addition to if we have to pay for the testing, but then we're talking about court costs. As you know, experts are going to be very expensive.
Yep.
To try this case. So, I mean, it could be investments of hundreds of thousands of dollars by the firm in these cases.
Yep.
But the client won't be responsible for that. We'll recover that out of any recovery we make on their behalf.
That's right. So and that's again why we believe so strongly in this. We're putting our money where our mouth is. We really believe in these cases. If we go to a jury trial and for whatever reason 3M or DuPont or whoever were to prevail, the client is responsible for
Zero.
nothing.
Nothing.
So really the risk is all on the law firm side.
Maybe a pat on the back for working real hard.
You've done a good job. Thanks for carrying water for us for a bit. But yeah, that's the great thing about the American legal system, is that it provides an opportunity for people to get recovery for their damages from big companies, and lawyers are willing to go out there and be gladiators for their clients, and appreciate the gladiators that y'all are to make sure that we're getting the best compensation we can for our clients. So if you or a loved one has an issue or has some questions, don't hesitate to give us a call here at the office, 772-708-0952. Visit us at traviswalkerlaw.com. We got a whole page on PFAS and everything else that's going on there. We're happy to answer any questions you have and take it from there. Thank you so much for visiting with us on the Walker Way podcast. You have a great day.